Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This weekend was the sort of weekend that sport fans up and down the country absolutely long for. Wimbledon was in full swing. England kept the Ashes hopes alive in the cricket. People were flocking to Silverstone for the F1 and they saw two Brits on the podium. And somewhere near Norwich, in a little racecourse called Snetterton, the roar of the superbikes were going round in circles for mad petrol heads like us. This is the Big Bad Bike Show. I'm the Big Bad Biker, Sam McCauley, and joining me tonight is the Up North Biker, Ash Hall. How are you, Ash? You alright?
Not so bad.
And joining me also is Moto Chippy, Chris Chippy Ballard. How are you, Chippy?
Hello, I'm all good. How are you?
I used your tag names today.
Yeah, I
noticed
I've
that. Changed mine.
Hang on, what you changed yours to?
I am the Big Bad Biker. I was thinking about what I should call myself, and I thought it's just staring me right in the face. The Big Bad Bike Show, be the Big Bad Biker. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. We're recording this. It's Monday the 10th of July. It's 8:30 p.m. or 20:30 if you're using that. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and that way you'll never miss an episode. And if you're on Spotify, Apple and or Google or wherever you're listening, you can leave a comment and you can perhaps get in touch and let us know where you're listening from, because it would be nice to know where our audience spans to. How big of a reach do we have? Not very much, because we only got about 10 listeners last week, but anyway, most of them are probably family. If you do want to get in contact, it's podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. And young Ashley's going to tell us what's coming up on the show.
Yeah, coming up on the show is the all-new Who Am I once again. We're going to be looking back at BSB at Snetterton and making predictions for the up-and-coming World Superbikes at Imola, which I thought was going to be MotoGP, because for some reason it wasn't in my calendar.
Was it supposed to be the Hungarian MotoGP this weekend? Or was that supposed to be next weekend? Or was it supposed to be last weekend? But round about this time, was it the Hungarian? No, the Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be last weekend, I think, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be around this time, yeah. So maybe that added a bit of confusion. Maybe that added a little bit of confusion. Borat's turned up. But before we go into that, we'll have a little catch up. Not much been happening this week, Chippy, eh?
No, I've done nothing this week, apart from I've been rewatching Doc Martin. As you know,
how many times have you watched that?
I don't know. It's like the fourth or fifth time. I love Doc Martin.
And the thing is,
it's not weird at all, because Nicola, she refused to watch it, and I've worn her down, and 3 or 4 years later, she's finally agreed to watch it with me, and she loves it. So give it a chance, and you will like it.
No, I wasn't going to say Doc. I think your fascination for Doc Martin's a bit strange, but I wasn't going to say that's weird. I was going to say it's strange how you like to just rewatch things you've seen over and over again.
Oh, I do all the time.
The listeners won't know, but you've got a pizza routine, and it always involves you watching the Grand Tour, and there's only so many of them you can watch.
Well, the thing is, it's only a Grand Tour or Top Gear special as well, you know, like the full-length episodes. Yeah. I have this mad pizza routine whenever I have a pizza, but part of it is I always watch a Grand Tour or Top Gear special, and I think I've seen each one at least 20 times now.
I was thinking, could you not put Clarkson's Farm into that as well? Would you not be willing to add a Clarkson's Farm into it?
Maybe.
Anything with Jeremy Clarkson on it, I love watching it. I think the guy's class.
Yeah,
well, I like the James Mays. You know, when he goes to different countries. I've been watching James May in Italy just recently.
I prefer the Japan one that he did.
The Japan one's funny.
Japanese.
Have you watched his cooking show?
No.
That is really good. Watch his cooking show. It's really funny.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah. Right, well, we'll come to you last, Ash, because yours is a bit more bike related. As for myself, I've not really been up to very much. I've had a similar week to you, Chippy, just kind of been lying around.
Well, I've been at work.
Well, I've not been at work. I worked my last day. I am no longer employed for my current employer, let's just say. Anyway.
Wow.
Enough of that. I've not really much to report. Got myself some transport and all sorted out for whenever I go back to Armoy, so cheers Big Sis for sorting me out with that. And as mentioned before in my intro, I've been watching Wimbledon and watching the Ashes. I love this time of year where I just watch sport all the time. It's class. You're making a face. I love it. I just watch whenever there's just sport on all the time. It's class.
Start and May's the best, because that's when you got the snooker on as well. But I'm not a fan of tennis, and I'm not a fan of cricket.
There's darts on at the minute too. There's like darts world championship or something, world darts play or something, world darts matches on.
Oh, it was a world match play, something like that.
Yeah, world match play.
Yeah.
I thought you would like tennis, Chippy. I thought that was your sort of sport.
I've never been a fan. No, not for me.
Yeah. Well, that's why. And I bought a pool, just a little tiny pool, but it's just about big enough to have a lilo in it. Like the lilo will take up the whole space. I've not actually done that yet, but I'm looking forward to having a lilo and just lying watching or listening to something. Apart from that, just watching the bikes, trying to stay caught up with Moto America as well. Ash, what have you been up to? Because yours is, like I said, it's a bit more bike podcast related.
I've had the week off. I had a week's holiday because I had family up for a few days, which was nice. And then today I had a nice 120-mile ride on the Blackbird. And it was a test to see how well I could lash down my tent and my dry bag and stuff like that, to see, like, take up for a long ride and see if it moves. And luckily I lashed it down really well, and that's the way I'm doing it every time now, because it didn't move, so it should be good for a long journey.
Them roads you were riding on, is there any of them that you would think's like worth the effort of going to visit? Because I know where you live is like, it's a really nice scenery, it's a lovely area. Is there any of them that you would be like, if you ever get the chance, you must ride this road?
Yeah, I would say the Whiskey Trail, definitely. And that's not me riding down the road, stopping at every distillery and having a drink of whiskey, so please don't think that. But the road is just... It's just a really nice road. I really like it down there, and it stretches all the way down to Aviemore, which is a really nice place in the Highlands, so I would definitely recommend that road.
You need to do the North Coast 500 on your bike.
I do, but I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to do this trip with my dad, which I'm doing around Scotland, and then I will do the North Coast 500. It takes a bit more planning.
Because it's only literally an hour away from us, the start point.
Yeah,
I was looking at roads to ride, and the North Coast 500 come up. Apparently, that was only like developed or like made complete like in the mid 2015, 16 or 14 or something.
Yeah, it was the UK's answer to the Route 66.
Route 66.
It was like their version of Route 66 up in the Highlands, but it's caused loads of like good business for people. Loads of businesses opened up.
I bet it has.
Along the North Coast 500 because of it. But they have issues with it as well. Obviously, you get, Reesty bastards just not getting rid of the litter and stuff like that, just throwing it everywhere, which is pretty crap. But,
assholes is a world-renowned problem.
Yeah,
I was on the internet and I was on a website looking for roads that would be really good to ride, and that came up. And another one that came up, which I'm dying to do, I've done it in a car and stuff before, but what I do on the bike is Mid-Antrim Coast. That's really good as well. So, just up round the coast of Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I bet that would be
good. Towards Portrush. Yeah, it would be pretty good. Right, that's enough of that. Let's move on with our podcast. So, in terms of feedback, we've got a little question from young Harvey who's got in touch. Thanks very much for getting in touch, Harvey. About 10 minutes before we record. But I was having a bit of a rant. I was like, why can I not send them earlier? But anyway, I'm very happy you get in touch. Thank you very much. We're going to touch on the last question you asked us, because we need to get wrapped up a bit quicker tonight, because Chippy has to go to bed. Wow.
Well, I've got to be up really early tomorrow.
Because he needs to stand in the shower for an hour.
No, right, because we've got a gas safety inspection. I completely forgot about it.
Trust me.
Right, so Harvey has asked us he's asked us a couple of questions, but I'm going to home in on this one. He says, do you prefer wet or dry races? We're getting to the point of the year where the weather doesn't always play nicely. We had a week of summer, that's all going to change. Do you prefer balls to the wall dry racing or a more technical and thought out wet race? Personally, for me, I prefer wet, with the downside that everyone else gets wet, me included. I think that's because we pretty much know that Harvey's I was going to say mechanic. He's a marshal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's what he does.
So
wet races or dry races? What's your opinion?
Either or for me, really. I'm not really fussed. Obviously, it's better for the riders and safer for the riders if it's dry. But then when it's wet, it's more exciting because there's a lot more slipping about. So I don't know. Either or, I'm not really bothered. I can find it a bit annoying. Obviously, when it's that wet, then they have to red flag it and start again. But
yes,
either or for me. Not really fussed. No, that doesn't really answer his question. But
I prefer a dry race, or every day of the week. I absolutely prefer a dry race. I think the rain can just spoil what you've gone there to watch, to be honest, and that's to see bikes going fast. However, on the flip side to that, the World Superbikes is coming up next week, and every time the World Superbike starts, I'm kind of thinking it would be really good if it rained, because it would just throw a spanner in the works and we might get something different other than just Batista running away into the sunset.
Yeah,
but
Johnny Ray perhaps, or Alex Lowe's on the way.
John McPhee.
There are times during wet races where it does become incredibly exciting. There are times whenever that does happen. But usually a wet race, well, I'll say usually, maybe not usually, but a lot of the times where a wet race, it just becomes a bit of a possession. Like you just kind of follow each other around and not much happens, and there's always one rider who takes off and can do it a bit better. But yeah, me personally, I prefer a dry race.
It's more interesting when it starts off as a dry race and halfway through, then it starts to rain. That's when it's fun.
Yeah, especially if they know it's going to rain and they've called it a flag-to-flag race. And you can, that puts another spanner.
Because they're on slicks as well. They can't go back in and change because they'll lose a position.
Whenever it's a flag-to-flag race and they're allowed to come in and change bikes, yeah, that's good.
Yes.
What about you, Chippy? You've not answered this question.
I'm kind of with Ash on this. I prefer a wet. Anyway. No, I prefer a dry race, but yeah, I think a wet race does throw a spanner in the works. And to be fair, it does make it interesting. Like when Brad Binder won in, was it Austria, when everybody else pitted for wets and he stayed out on slicks and he about won it.
He was slipping and sliding about. That was
yeah. But no, I think I prefer a dry race because I think that's when you see everybody flat out and you see the talent sort of showcased.
Yeah. I would think about it this way. Could you imagine getting ready for a season? I know this would never happen, but imagine getting ready for a season and it was an unprecedented season where every race was rained out and it was wet. By the end of the season, you'd be like, this is boring.
Yeah,
I want to see bikes going fast. Anyway, Harvey, I hope that's answered your question, mate. Obviously, we all like to see a little bit of spice and a bit of rain in the track adds to that, but I think we're all dry men. we all like it to be pretty dry.
And I got pretty wet today on the way home, and it wasn't nice.
I did warn you there was a thunderstorm.
Yeah, but it was literally just like 15 minutes from home. That's when I got hit with it. I was out all day.
Haha.
We went to Smith's Toy Superstore to buy a present because we had to go to another birthday party last weekend because that's just my life. Next weekend I've got 2 birthday parties to go to.
Oh my god.
And none of them are mine. I go to 2 birthday parties, none of them are mine. So we're just constantly in Smith's, but we went into Smith's and as soon as we got in, the heavens just opened and it absolutely thundered down. Nobody left Smith's. Their sales just skyrocketed because people were just finding excuses to stay in the shop. In the end, it didn't even stop, so we had to just go out and brace the rain. That's why I sent you a message saying this might be heading towards Snetterton, but it never actually got there. Right, that's done with that. Will we move on to the Who Am I?
Yes.
Right. It was yours last week, Chippy.
It was mine last week. So, the first clue was, I was born in Lincolnshire in 1981. Can I just say that I thought, actually, after I read this, it was quite easy.
Stupid easy.
Second clue was, I have raced in the British Championships, but switched to road racing in 2001, following an argument with the organisers of the British Championship. And the third and final clue was, I have 17 Ironman TT podiums, but have never won a TT race. And it was Guy Martin.
Right, so we got an email from Claire Bousted.
Bousted.
She says, hi team, I believe the answer for the Who Am I is Guy Martin. Looking forward to hearing this week's podcast. Keep up the good work, Claire Bousted.
She did check with me first before she messaged in, just in case she was wrong.
And we got a second person who emailed in with the answer, and it is the return of
Yobbo?
No.
Big Dazza.
Big Dazza.
Dazza's back.
Big Dazza's back. He sent us an
Big
email
Dazza,
saying,
we missed you.
we've been having withdrawal symptoms. Big Dazza withdrawal symptoms. Our number one fan's gone and left us.
Yeah.
No, he's back. He emailed Guy Martin.
Just a name.
Literally, what he's just emailed Guy Martin. He got in contact at least. So happy days. We're getting our our crew back together again. Right. So it was my turn to do the Who Am I? I've myself gone for one that's, well, I don't know. Yeah. See what you think of it. Right. So the 3 clues are: I am a 5-time Formula 1 world champion. Second clue, I was on board a boat called the Tornamorna when it sank along with all my bikes and equipment. Clue number 3, I received an MBE and an OBE for my charity work.
No, I reckon Chippy knows this because we had something to do with a Formula 1 driver in our previous podcast and he kept guessing that it was that person, but it wasn't, so I reckon that's who it is.
No, I don't think it is, because I don't think he's a 5-time world champion.
Right, okay.
But
well, I haven't got a Scooby, so...
I haven't got a clue of the rider, but I'm going to say he's probably Irish or something along them lines, because that kind of sounds like an Irish boat name. And if he's going on a boat, I'd say it's kind of between Ireland and Britain, but that would be a guess. Ireland and Britain. Ireland and, over here.
Well, if you at home think you know the answer to the Who Am I, you can get in contact at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk, and as always, if you leave your name, we will read it out on the show, and you can have a small piece of pride for getting it right. And if you need to Google it, that's also fine, because if you don't know the Who Am I and you have to Google it, you might actually end up learning something, take you down the rabbit hole, and before you know it, you've got more motorbike information than you had 5 minutes prior. So please get involved, makes our show a lot better, gives us something to talk about, a reason to stretch it out a bit. Right, so usually at this point in the show, we have a section which we like to call the news. But Chippy has been too lazy this week to do any looking for it.
No.
So we've not got news, basically, because he can't be bothered.
No, it's not that. There is no news. And you've even looked yourself to try and find some news. There is literally no news. I could say about Franco Bourne getting a superbike ride for Honda, but that's already happened. He raced this weekend.
We already know about that.
It's not news, that's old. So there's literally no news.
No, know it's pretty dry whenever I'm looking for news as well. Just double checking to make sure there is no news. I'm sure somewhere out there in the motorcycling world, the whole motorcycling world, there probably is some news. But as you probably realise from our podcast, we kind of focus on, we're narrow-minded and focus on like the actual mainstream racing news. Maybe someday we'll get into MCN sort of, this bike's been released, whatever. But right now...
Yes. I mean, the only thing I did find, which is very, very small, is LaSalle track is having some work done to make it better. I think it's basically having a shopping centre put in it. That's literally it. That's all I could find.
I saw a little bit that was just saying Alex Marquez has come out and says that he wants to stay at Ducati, but of course he does. Oh, I don't want to be in the best bike on the grid. Why is that? Of course he wants to stay in Ducati. So even that's not really news, is it?
Not really, no.
I do this a little like that guy from Star Trek. Moo, moo, moo.
It's a podcast, people can't see.
I know, I'm just messing about with my hat. I'll maybe take a picture and put it on our
See, I would have said Cyclops out of X-Men, because I don't know who anybody is in Star.
Oh yeah, that's also a Cyclops out of X-Men, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. I don't act like you're not a nerd. I found out today that the reason, I say I found out, it just kind of dawned on me, the reason Chippy calls his dog Arthur is because that's what the main protagonist in Red Dead Redemption 2 is called.
Yeah, I named him after him.
And he has a picture of the game character hung up in his living room with signed by the voice actor of Arthur.
Yes, I do. I've also got one signed by John Marston as well.
And does it say, good boy?
It doesn't, no.
What does it say on yours?
Be loyal to what matters.
And mine says, you're alright, boy.
And I don't have one because I'm not a fucking nerd. Right, there you go.
But Ash paid 300 quid to go and meet somebody from Star Wars, and he cried when he met him.
I didn't cry.
You did cry.
No, I didn't cry.
Cried. You cried probably because he laughed at your tattoo and says you're shit.
Didn't cry.
No, he was shaking before he went in though.
I would have cried paying £300.
It's you and McGregor.
Bit of a name drop there.
You wouldn't pay that. Anyway,
should
we
we
just
crack
get
on?
into the old racing then, since we've got no news?
Right, let's just... So, as alluded to in the build-up to the show, it's going to be a quick show tonight. We're flying through this, but that's the way it is. Summer's short summer.
That's just the way it is.
That's what she said. Right, so... yeah, we were, as alluded to in the intro, we were watching the BSB this week at Snetterton. Did everybody watch it? Did everybody see it?
Yes, I was at work. There is something I would like to say before we start, and it's a bit of an apology to Tito Rabat, because I put on the group who would finish higher out of him of Franco Ball, and then I put a comment on there saying I think he's going to be stone dead last and miles off the pace. And he proved me wrong. I wasn't one of those keyboard
how wrong
warriors.
Were all of us though?
Yes, we were one of those keyboard warriors.
There was only a couple of people that actually voted on that for Tito Rabat to do well.
Yes,
I was gobsmacked, to be fair.
I was, and I'm kind of glad he did prove us wrong, because he's a nice guy. But yeah, I know he's not going to listen to the show, but I'm going to say sorry. And I was a keyboard warrior that was saying he shouldn't be there.
Sorry.
And somebody else should have got the ride, but I'll hold my hands up and say I made a mistake.
Okay. But somebody might have done better.
Yeah, somebody else might have done better, but...
Get your hand out from your mouth.
No.
You're supposed to be in the podcast talking, you're standing there like this.
Well, the microphone's down here, so...
Hello, my name's Chippy. I put my hand over my mouth.
It's a finger. It's a finger.
It's not a finger, it's like... You look like that guy on the weather when he got caught swearing.
So we all watched the races, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was at
watched
work, but I
all
watched
of
it.
the BSB and I watched the Talent Cup and a few other bits. I didn't watch every race.
We all made notes, because this is the second week in a row whenever I had to write down the notes.
No, because I was at work, so I couldn't give the bikes my full concentration, so I wasn't able to make notes.
Don't worry, I enjoyed it.
Yes.
So, I have written a little spiel for race one. If I was a journalist, not that I am, but if I was a journalist and had to write something, this is what I would have put down for race one. Right. As the race started, my eyes were on Tito Rabat. He proved a few people wrong, Chippy, with an impressive qualifying on an unfamiliar bike, an unfamiliar track he'd never been to before. He got off to a good start, as did Irwin and O'Halloran. On lap 4, however, Bridewell had an aggressive move. He passed Rabat and he sent him onto the grass, and Rabat's prospects were all but over. The next few laps saw a slight breakaway with PBM Beermonster Ducatis in front, with two riders occasionally swapping positions. Brook and O'Halloran were never too far behind though. The last lap saw the three-way battle, Irwin in the lead, but coming up into Nelson's, Bridewell comes up inside Irwin and passes him, and Irwin has to ease off. Bridewell takes the lead and immediately gaps the Irishman. Brook's all over Irwin. The race by this stage is Bridewell's, and then at Murray's corner, Brooks passes Irwin with a block pass for second. It ruins Irwin's drive completely, and then that allows O'Halloran to overtake Irwin just before the line. And I just wrote here, in half a lap, Glenn Irwin went from first to fourth. He must have been raging.
Yes.
Yeah. It was good, the sprint though. It
was a really, really good race. Yeah, it was a good race.
Yes, I mean, the only thing I'm going to say, I know I've just kind of apologised to Tito Rabat, but I'm going to criticise him now, is I think he does need to be a bit more aggressive. He got quite beat up and he didn't really give anything back.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But my defence to Tito Rabat in that is, he's an unfamiliar rider in an unfamiliar championship. He's just there to keep the wheels turning, you know what I mean? I know obviously McCann's Yamaha want him to do well and they want a result, but I mean the paddock as a whole doesn't need somebody coming in and start pushing their elbows out just to prove a point and they end up, ruining the championship for the fans and spectators.
Yes.
But
hopefully at Brands he can sort of put a bit more of a fight in and
yeah, but you imagine what it is. You turn up and you're on your bike and you get pushed out of the way and you think I could push back, but you're not really there to do that, really. So
yes.
But I do understand your slight criticism. I think one of the most controversial things to come out of the sprint race was Tommy Bridewell's interview. They mentioned it a few times on the TV.
Yeah.
He come out. I can only paraphrase it. I can't quote it, but he basically said something like, "If I can't ride past you, I'll ride through you."
Yeah.
Something like that. Something along those lines. He basically just said, "I'm going to win this race regardless."
I think the adrenaline was still pumping through him.
Because
it was heat of the moment thing to say.
At the time, me and you were messaging each other, Chippy, and I was like, I don't know if I like Bridewell or not. Obviously, I have no reason not to like him. Basically, Chippy likes him.
You say you can't stand him.
No, you didn't let me finish what I was saying. So at the time, I didn't know how to feel about him, but Chippy likes him, so I don't want to like him because Chippy likes him. And then he came out with that interview, and I was like, no, that's it. Can't stand him.
The thing is, everybody loves Tommy Bridewell. Yeah. You will be the only person in the world that doesn't like him.
I don't know that. I do like Tommy Bridewell. Of course I do. I just
Chippy got blanked by him. Chippy tried to talk to him, and he just didn't give him the time of day.
Well, Leon hasn't ignored you.
I don't mind Tommy Bridewell. I think he had an absolutely fantastic weekend, and to be honest, when it comes to the British superbikes, I'm not really arsed who wins or loses. You know what I mean? I'm just enjoy the fact that you get to watch good racing. Obviously, I want Glenn Irwin to win.
I tell you what, though, I was surprised with that. Kyle Ryde was so far behind in the sprint. He usually does really well in the sprints.
Yeah,
well, there's a few riders that didn't really turn up this week when you think about it. That Kyle Ryde was one of them. Peter Hickman was another one.
He's having an absolute mare this season so far.
Yeah, so
Dean Harrison didn't have a great weekend, but
no.
But I mean, he's usually finishing around there anyway.
Yeah, but
although saying that, he never normally comes off, and he came off twice, didn't he?
Yes,
this
he did.
Weekend. So yeah, he's normally stays on.
I wonder, I know. Are you talking about Peter Hickman when you say he came off twice?
No, Dean Harrison.
No, Dean Harrison.
Because I know
Pete Hickman only came off once, and that was when Danny Buchan had that.
I thought it was twice.
Did he come off twice?
I thought it was
twice. Yeah.
Because I know he came off and then he went to go see if Danny Buchan was all right. Because
that was race 2. Do you want to go on to race 2?
Yeah, I can do.
And then we can sum it all up. So race 2 was a great race. Bridewell was in pole position, and Brooks ended up getting the whole shot, and Irwin was in second. Bridewell was in third, but Christian Eden gave him a little love tap, and I've put down here, it's a good job this isn't MotoGP, or Eden would be in the naughty step. This allowed O'Halloran and Brooks to break away, but then there was a red flag, and that's because Hickman, I don't know if Hickman crashed on oil or if Hickman's bike caused the oil or what it was, but Hickman crashed and Buchan crashed.
I believe Buchan came off first because he wasn't actually, there was an interview with him and he wasn't actually involved in the crash with Buchan. Danny Buchan came off and the oil on the track is what he slipped on, I believe.
Yeah, because Buchan was about fifth.
Yeah,
because Peter Hickman got up and you could see him pointing at something, and I think he was saying there's oil in the track.
Yeah, well, right. Buchan was about fifth, and I think Hickman was 19th, so they weren't racing together.
No.
Yeah, I knew they didn't tangle up together, but I wasn't sure who came off first or who caused the oil or whether it was maybe some oil in the warm up lap, but I didn't know. So, but you think Buchan crashed, caused the oil spill, Peter Hickman right into it.
Yeah.
Right. So the race start saw the same front runners, but this time Haslam put himself in the mix. Haslam, Brooks, Irwin and O'Halloran had a good battle, but Bridewell by this stage had got to the front and had just pulled away and had disappeared, and the race again was his. The two BMWs gapped O'Halloran and Irwin, who were scrapping. It was Bridewell won, Brooks came second and Haslam came third. I put a message in my my new Threads page, because I've got a Threads page.
Oh yeah, we're all on Threads now, aren't we? Are you on Threads, Ash?
No.
I put a message on my Threads page and it basically just said, great weekend for PBM, Beer Monster, Ducati, not so good for FHO. But they got 2 podiums, but I suppose in a whole, is that really a good weekend for FHO? Because they got 2 podiums, but then they had 2 crashes and 1 DNF.
Yeah,
Chippy
not great.
Doesn't like FHO.
Well, no, it's not. I don't like FHO. Well, no, I don't like FHO, but I don't know. Something going on with Peter Hickman at the minute.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people saying his heart's not in it since the TT, but I don't agree with that. I think he's still wanting to win in BSB.
He still seems to want to
Yeah.
ride.
But you look at him and you look at Dean Harrison, because neither 2 of them are at the sharp end, but they're both decent riders. But Dean Harrison was at Coquitlam North, and Peter Hickman was at Amatra, so they were both at 2 different road races a week prior. So I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm not saying their heart's not in it, but it maybe means chopping and changing the bike quite a lot, changing tyres, different riding style, changing, you know, making the bike longer or shorter. You know, changing bits in the bike that personally I don't understand, but maybe there's a lot of that involved. And then when it comes to actually doing the BSB, maybe they can't quite build the bike the way they need it to, or
maybe. Then there's also the fact that not every other racer is going to a road race the week before either.
Yeah.
So
because you look at Glenn Irwin. A couple of years ago, went to the TT, fastest newcomer ever. You think, big shining lights, this guy's going to be absolutely awesome in the TT, but then he decides not to go because he wants to concentrate on British Superbikes. So he's not going to the International Road Racing Championship and doing road races around there. Yeah. He went to Northwest. He did the Northwest. Of course he's going to do Northwest. He's from Northern Ireland. But
I've just found something on Instagram, about Danny Buchan. He's posted an update. So he said, so gutted to crash out of P5 in yesterday's race. I got a good start and was sat behind Tommy in P5, relaxed and being conservative with the tyre, as I knew he was waiting for the race to progress before he moved forward, which made my plan simple. Try and go forward when he goes. I came out of turn 4 into turn 5 and I knew I was wide. Got on the dirty part of the track, and when I got on the gas it high-sided me over the front. Can't say I'm enjoying the sport at the moment if I'm honest, but it's the chosen path. No broken bones, thankfully, just smashed to pieces and bruised. Thanks for the well wishes. And I think it's Mason Law has posted a picture of him with he's kind of got a towel over half of his face, so I'm guessing he's just bruised on his face.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's alright, we were just talking nonsense anyway. We're all just waffling about bikes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's not nice to hear that he's not enjoying the sport. That's not nice to hear. Danny.
Well, he had a nightmare at Knockhill. Well, he's had a nightmare all year, to be honest, hasn't he?
He had a bit of a tiff at Knockhill, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't very happy.
Danny Buchan's got. Well, I was going to say a rival podcast. It's not really a rival podcast because he's actually fairly successful, I'd imagine. But yeah, he's got a podcast going on, so he's obviously got. What's the word I should say? He's obviously got desires for a career in some other sort of. Maybe the same setting, but slightly different job within the same career. He likes interviewing people, and he likes talking, and he likes hosting.
He'd be a good pundit.
Yeah, he
would be a good pundit, but unfortunately, you need to be in it. Well, in my opinion, this isn't my opinion. I think this needs to happen. This is my opinion and the trend of where TVs go, and it's not just with motorbikes; it's with all sports. You need to be a successful or an ex-champion to be a full-time pundit.
Yes. Who do you reckon that's riding at the minute that could be a pundit one day on either MotoGP, British Superbikes?
Alex Lowe's absolutely 100%. He's amazing at it. He's really, really good at it, and he's really good friends with Neil Hodgins. So he's in the door. I think as soon as Alex Lowe's retires from World Superbikes, if he retires and doesn't go to Britain or whatever, but as soon as he retires from racing bikes, I think Alex Lowe's is straight in as a pundit.
Yes, I agree. I'd love to see Tommy Bridewell as well, but I don't think he would.
Andrew Irwin did a really good job.
Yeah, I like Andy Irwin.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that's what I mean. The likes of Andrew Irwin and Danny Buchan and stuff, that they could come in for guest appearances if they're injured or if they're, for some reason they can't get out on the bike. But to be the Shaky Burns every week and week out pundit, you need to be an ex-champion. You need to be that. And it's
Did you see Johnny Ray doing it? Because
No.
I mean, he's one of them championships. I can't see him doing it either.
No.
But he's very
I can't see
successful.
I see Johnny Ray just moving to Australia and eating barbecues every day. Because his wife's Australian. He's got a house in Australia. Pretty sure his wife's Australian. He's got a house in Australia. Johnny, if you ever move to Australia and you need a gardener, mate, I'm your man. I'll garden. I will trim your grass. He'd be like, there is no grass in Australia, it's all fucking just dirt.
Red dust.
I will catch some snakes. No, who else? I don't know. Alex Lowe's I think would be a really good one.
Yeah, I could see that.
Jorge Lorenzo dips his toe in quite a bit, but I think he maybe does like Spanish TV and stuff, but he gets interviewed quite a lot, Jorge Lorenzo.
Danny Pedrosa.
Nah, he's going to be test rider forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just loves riding bike, doesn't he? So. No, I can't think of anybody else. Alex Lowe's was the first one that came into my head. Do you want me to read my little spiel for race 3?
Yes.
Right, so as the race started, the question was, can Bridewell do the triple? Turns out he could. This is boring. Urban Kane second.
It's not boring.
I know, but it's boring to try and write it out. The race was exciting, but sitting there trying to, you just end up writing the same thing over and over again. Bridewell did this. It's just, this is boring. Irwin got second. Haslam got another podium. Brooks had a mechanical issue this time, and Hickman had another crash. Not a great result for FHO that race, because Hickman had another crash.
For Brooks.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Because he was leading the entire race, pretty much. And then to just mechanical come off, I was like, oh no. Big going.
No, it wasn't boring. I'm not really doing it justice. There was a lot more happened in race 3, but I was just at that stage where I was going through my notes and I was like, oh, I can't be bothered writing this. This is boring. We all know what happened anyway. Such a professional podcast.
I was gutted. I was expecting Haslam to maybe at least win one. He was really pushing. I thought he was doing really well.
He's got to win one before the end of the year, hasn't he?
I would have liked to. I'd like to see him win one.
I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will win one before the end of the year.
He
will. How old is he now? Is he 38, 39?
40.
40?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has 40. No, I don't know if he will win one. Like, it's not a given. There's a lot of good riders against him. There's a lot of good bikes. Like, even BMW, like FHO's there. They're in similar bikes.
Maybe Brands Hatch.
They're not that easy to get past. So I know he's got the talent on the bike to win one, but everything needs to come together. Not that he needs to be lucky, but it's just not a given that he's going to win one.
I think he will, but yeah, I think it'll only be like one, maybe two.
I love it when you see Ron Haslam and he's like just never changed his hairstyle ever. It's always the same.
That is the sign of a wig.
No.
No, I don't think Ron Haslam's got a wig.
So like I say, Hickman another crash, and that, yes, I do remember that now, because there was a clip of him where he was quite annoyed about it. Usually he's quite chilled out about stuff, and they put the camera on him and he was sort of going,
It was his second crash of the weekend.
Yeah.
There has to be, I say there has to be something going on, what do I know, but it does seem a bit strange. Like, and the thing is, this idea that Peter Hickman, his heart's not in it because he was at the TT and he went to Amatra and he's doing the International Road Racing Championship and all. But me personally looking at it, I'm like, Peter Hickman is a professional motorbike rider. He's a professional motorcycle racer.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
He's not going to turn up and be like, well, I can't be arsed. That's not his attitude. And let's be honest, he's a bloody good rider. He's fast. So if he went up there, maybe if he's not giving it 100%, maybe he's giving it 95%, but you still think he would be like top 10. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there has and that's my personal opinion. Him with his heart not in it, maybe top 10. Maybe just not willing to push that better, like you said about Tito Rabat. Maybe not willing to get his elbows out and push about and push people up. But down at 19th, 20th, and then crashing, that just seems a bit strange. Like there's something going on. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm not a mechanic. I don't race motorbikes. I just plod about in my own little motorbike every now and again. But I think maybe the chopping and changing from road race setting to BSB setting is maybe affecting the bike in some way, or maybe has feel for it. Maybe you have to use different, because we know the problem with the tyres that they had in the northwest, so maybe they're changing tyres from Imatra to Snetterton or Knock Hill, and maybe that's just having a bit of an effect.
But then, obviously, Brooks had mechanical issues, so maybe there's an issue of Hickman's bike.
Maybe there's a problem with the bike as well, yeah. But you say Brooks had mechanical issues. Brooks also got 2 podiums this weekend. So.
Yes, he did. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe there are unforeseen problems with the bike that we're not seeing. But it's not an easy one to know or to understand what's going on inside the head of a rider or under the. I was going to say the hood. You don't really have a hood, but under the engine of a bike.
Yeah, it was nice to see Charlie Nesbitt and Josh Owens finish all of their races this week. It was nice to see that. Because obviously at Knock Hill they had an absolute nightmare.
That's because you were there and you're bad luck.
Yeah. So when I go to Alton Park, I'll be the bad luck charm again, probably.
Yeah.
So I'll blame it on Chippy's mum. She's going as well. But it was nice to see him. I was definitely rooting for him, and even in that last race, Josh actually did quite well. I think he came about 14th, 15th?
14th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of points.
Which is good for him, really.
And who was your?
Finished 11th, I think.
All right. Obviously, Tommy Bridewell. That's the question I'm going to ask. Obviously, Tommy Bridewell. I was going to say, who's your standout rider of the weekend in the superbikes? Now, obviously, doing a treble, it's obviously Tommy Bridewell. So let's just take him aside because that answer's too easy. Apart from him, it's not fair to take.
I was quite disappointed with Ryan Vickers because I had him down for a win. I mean, he did well in the last race, but he kind of messed himself over in qualifying by crashing. I was a bit disappointed he didn't.
Because that's his home track, is Snetterton, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his home race. I thought he'd got a couple of podiums there.
He got 4th in the race 3, didn't he? I think it was race 3 he got 4th, but I think the pressure was getting to him on that. I think he had a lot on his shoulder. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, the fact that it was his home race and people were expecting him to do better, and he maybe just let that get to him a bit.
Yeah, I didn't like obviously picking people that we were a bit disappointed with. Mine was Kyle Ride. Usually he's up there with the best, really. I would say usually, mainly, but he had a bit of a, I don't know, it wasn't with it this week, and maybe he's just not keen on Snetterton. I don't know.
So we obviously haven't answered the question of.
Yeah, because I asked you who. Well, to be honest, I did take Tommy Bridewell away, which is the obvious answer. Who had a good weekend? Tommy Bridewell. He did the triple. Oh, you're not allowed to pick him. That's not fair. I'm going to pick another obvious one. I think Tito Rabat had a good weekend, personally.
He did.
He said, and it's not just the fact that I know he maybe didn't set the world on fire. He finished around 10th in every race. Maybe didn't finish 10th, but he was like 8th, 9th, 10th, around there. But I think Chippy mentioned that the keyboard warriors who were out, and I would imagine that in the motorcycle world there were probably people who know what they're talking about, who still had a few choice words possibly, but I think with all that pressure on him on a bike he's never rid before, at a track he's never been at, I think he had a good weekend. I think he did.
I'm going to say for good weekend I'm going to say Jason O'Halloran, because he can ride that Yamaha in such a way that he can really give it to the fucking Ducatis. and I just think he's a brilliant rider, and I don't know, he's a nice guy as well. He always seems like he's fairly happy there on the camera and stuff. So I'm going to pick Jason O'Halloran. I think he had a good weekend personally.
Yes, I'm going to go with Max Cook for Kawasaki. He's improved quite a lot this season, well, over the last few races, and I thought he had quite a solid weekend. Yeah, but quite a solid weekend this weekend. So he's going to be my rider.
Yeah, and obviously you can't take it away from Tommy Bridewell getting the triple. I just wanted to take him out of the scenario because he was the obvious answer. Yeah, we always just said that, and then the podcast would have been shite. But anyway,
Storm Stacey was quite a fair way down as well. Usually he's sort of like in the middle.
He's very hot and cold. Some weekends he turns up and he's absolutely on fire, and sometimes he's just near the back. I suppose different tracks suit him, but I'm not going to criticise him because he's a good young lad.
He's doing a hell of a lot better in life than any of us have ever done.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a 40-year-old man trying to do a podcast. I have not made good choices. I keep saying I'm 40. I'm not quite 40, but I fucking feel like it.
You look like it.
I do. Oh, I almost look as old as you look, Ash. Jesus.
I noticed you styled your hair today, though. You've spiked it up like a
No,
teenager.
I'm not actually trying to. I'm not trying to spike it up.
Like
I'm trying to
teenager. Trying to get down with the kids.
I'm not trying to spike it up. I'm trying to train it to go back so that it will, whenever it grows.
And then do you know what will happen? He'll grow it, and then he'll just shave it all off again.
Yes.
No, I'm never shaving my head again.
Nah, that's a lie.
That is a lie.
No, it's not.
And then he'll have his beard off as well, and he'll just go back to looking like a little mole rat, and then he'll grow it again.
I only cut my hair for one reason. Whenever it was long, there was only one reason I cut my hair, and there's no way I cut
fair
my
enough.
hair.
So you're gonna go are you gonna go full on Jesus again?
Well, I prefer Moses. Yeah, prefer that one. Do you know why I like Moses?
Because he likes bush.
Because. Well, apparently, whenever he wrote the 10 Commandments, he came back over the hill in a triumph.
Okay.
Ash doesn't even get it.
I don't know all Jeebus stuff, sorry.
It's a joke, you stupid cunt.
I don't know. Oh, look, we had a really good episode there when there wasn't much swearing, right? And he has to go and drop the C-bomb.
You're not even listening to what I'm saying. Moses came over the hill in a triumph.
Yes, I heard what you said.
Right? It's a joke. It's a motorbike joke.
Yes, I know.
Well, then acknowledge it.
Soz. God,
even just say it's crap. You just stared at me. Podcast, supposed to speak.
I'm getting drunk, sorry.
Anyway, we'll just edit this bit out because that's fucking crap. Right, yeah, so I'm going to go full on Moses. So, do you want to talk about some of the other motorbike races that was there?
The British Talent Cup was good.
Yeah.
That
free bikes.
Belford, just
Evan
ran
Belford,
away with everything.
He really stood out this weekend. If I was going to pick another standout rider for the weekend from any other class, he'd be the guy I'd pick. He's having a really good season, actually. I didn't realise he was so far ahead in the championship.
What was the name of the rider that had a full-on hissy fit?
Oh, I can't remember. I did see it.
He was trying to get his glove off, and then he was frustrated. Then he took it off, and he started jumping up and down. And he was not happy.
But he's only a kid. He's only a teenager.
It's still like Jesus. And then there was that lad that came off during warm up.
Yeah,
he seemed to be quite hurt.
But it was pissing on. It wasn't soaking, but it was raining at that stage.
Yeah, I mean he high-sided and he was quite hurt, wasn't he?
Yes. What else happened? Super Sport, that was a good race with, unfortunate for Luke Stapleford when he came off, is it the last lap or second to last lap? Then gave the win to Tommy Bridewell.
I think it was the last lap, wasn't it? It was just coming into the last lap.
I found this on the web.
Oh,
what?
My watch has just found something on the web.
Oh, right. And then Tom Booth Amos, your favourite Chippy.
Yeah, he wasn't as much of a knob this weekend as he usually is.
Oh, right.
I wouldn't say he's grown up. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's grown up.
Very down to earth in his interview after his win in the first race, or the sprint race, whatever you want to call it. They interviewed him and he seemed very down to earth.
Yeah, he's a lot better this weekend.
Him and Bridewell must have rubbed shoulders and changed somewhere. Like one of them Freaky Friday episodes.
Yes.
And then he said at the start of the second race, he was pointing at his bike and saying, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, or I don't want to drop anybody in it. But there's reasons why I maybe can't go as fast or something.
Yeah.
And you think, Chippy, that maybe the stewards had told him to change something that might possibly have been illegal, or...
I mean, this is just my own opinion. I don't know anything,
yeah.
But from the sound of it, he had to change his front forks. So I'm guessing the stewards or somebody said, you're riding with illegal forks, you need to change them to whatever. Because I think that he lost some advantage with that. But if he's riding with illegal forks, then it's only right he has to change them to what everybody else has got.
But the thing is, I noticed whenever he was riding that he was down in second, third place, and they were getting further away from him. And then there was a few drops of rain. He put his hand up to say it was raining. But then whenever that happened for the next couple of laps, he gained some time after they thought it was raining, and then it dried up because no rain came. But during that, he gained some time. And I think whenever they thought there was rain, he was like, well, I might as well just throw everything at it now, because this is my opportunity to make that an even Steven race.
Yes.
And then the rain never appeared, and then it went back to normal. And I'm thinking, was there such a problem with the bike, or did he just go out there with like a negative attitude? Because they had to change something, he's now thinking, well, this isn't going to work. But then as soon as he thought there was rain, it was like, well, let's get down and get at it. And then they started gaining time, and it's like, well, maybe it's all in your head a little bit, you know. Maybe it's just need that bit of confidence. Because I can imagine sitting on a bike, everything's the way you want it to be, and somebody says you got to change that, and then you go out and maybe you just feel a little bit different, and you're a bit, I just don't.
Yes.
Maybe it's not the bike can't perform. Maybe it's just that little bit of lacking that tiny little bit of feeling confidence. I noticed that. I don't know if it actually happened or whether I was just noticing something that wasn't really there, but I got the impression that when he thought there was rain, he went a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
With the Super Sport, in the second race, there was a rider, you might have seen him, he was in fourth place. He was trying to get into his first ever podium. I think fourth would have been his first best ever position, and he crashed with the back marker. Did you see that?
Who was that, sorry?
Ewan McClinchy.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'll have to rewatch. Ewan McClinchy, I think?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know if that, yeah. EUNAN, Ewan McClinchy. Yeah, anyway, I was rooting for him. He was in fourth. He's from Armoy, which is just round the corner from where I'm from. So I was rooting for him. I was like, come on, mate. He's on my, you know that a page I follow? They're always posting about him on it. And then he crashed into the back marker. I don't know if the back marker crashed into him or if he crashed into the back marker, but he obviously wasn't very happy with said back marker. And I was kind of thinking, I was scratching my head, and I was like, I know you wanted a podium, but you were never going to get a podium. You're too far behind. And at that point, it's like, you're easily in fourth. Did you really need to try and like overtake the back marker on the corner? Could you not have just kept your cool, kept your nerve? And then I'm thinking, but I didn't see it. Maybe the back marker fucking rode into him. Who knows? I didn't see what happened.
Yes. I want to point out Rhys Irwin, because I like him, and he had a good weekend last weekend in the World Supers.
Yeah.
But you don't like him?
I don't not like him. Sometimes I just say I don't like people just to wind you up, Chippy. As soon as you say you like somebody, I just completely dislike them. That's the way it works.
Yes.
No, I don't mind Rhys Irwin. I don't mind Rhys Irwin. You know what I'm like? I'm very... as soon as I hear an Irish accent, I'm like, yep, I want him to win.
It's like, we go back to like when they used to be on Top Gear. If they owned a car, like they couldn't then like that car. The other people couldn't like it. It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because you've mentioned before that you think Tom Booth Amos is a little bit cocky and you're not so sure on it. As soon as you said that, I was like, I want Tom Booth Amos to win every race. It's the only reason I said I didn't like Tommy Bridewell, because you said you liked him so much. I was like, well, fuck Tommy Bridewell.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
coming up to halfway point of the season, or maybe it's about halfway. Which championship out MotoGP, World Supers and British Superbikes is exciting you the most? Which is the one you look forward to? Or which one are you most sort of gripped by at the minute?
I'm still most excited by MotoGP. Yeah.
I'm going to have to change mine. I'm really liking the BSB at the moment.
Yes, Ash.
Because it is very much like every race is like to the line, like every race.
It's the best race in the world. We're not here different.
Out massively.
No, the only thing I don't like with BSB, Snetterton was fine. I really liked Snetterton. It was really good. But the problem I have with it is little tiny tracks like Knock Hill and that little short track around Silverstone. I think them tracks are too small and they spoil it for me. Whenever you're going around a track and it's taking you 50 seconds to get round a lap, that for me spoils it. I know I spoke to a guy in the the campsite when I was at Donington Park, and he said he hated road racing because it takes too long for them to come round and you don't get to see the bikes. And he loves Knock Hill because they're just always whizzing by him and he gets to see loads of bikes. But I'm like, but just that, for me, it's just too small. And that's, whenever you see them little small tracks in a way, it just makes it seem, this is going to sound really insulting, but that's not what I mean. It's not what I wanted to say. But it makes it seem a little amateurish, I think.
See, I like the twistiness of the British circuits. I do wish they were a bit longer.
Yeah.
But I do like it. They don't really ever get to go flat out in Top Gear.
You get small, narrow tracks, like Knock Hill, for example. They're small, they're narrow, and once you get in front, and when I say you get in front, I don't mean that I know one or two people can pass, but it becomes nigh on impossible. You know, the idea of like MotoGP, like I shared one of these in Moto3, but MotoGP, the idea that somebody could have an absolutely shocking, like I mean somebody great, but somebody could have an absolutely shocking qualifying and be down in like 18th, and if they're a good enough rider, you think they can still get to the front and they could win this race. I'm talking like Marquez, for example. But if you're in Knock Hill and you're in 18th, there's no way you're getting to the front of that unless you have an absolutely blinding start. So that for me lets it down a little bit. But obviously it's the British Superbikes, they can only race in the tracks that's available.
Yes.
But for me, this is going back to a question that we had in the previous episode. For me, this is why I think British Superbikes benefits from going overseas to tracks like Assen maybe once a year, because it gives them that opportunity.
It does,
or
but
maybe
I think it keeps the costs down by staying in the UK.
Oh yeah, of course it does, massively.
When you got dads and lads.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, of course, yeah, I get that. And the MotoGP for me is exciting. I know a lot of people say it's not exciting, but you look back in the past years, and when's the last time we had a retaining champion in MotoGP? It was Marc Marquez.
Yeah.
So if you take Marc Marquez's last year, he won the championship. It's been Marc Marquez, Joan Mir, Quartararo, Bastianini. Is it Bastianini? No, Pecco Bagnaia. And then this year it's not even a given. Like I know Pecco Bagnaia is like they're calling him Mr. Perfect, but it's still not a given this year as who's going to win it. So for me it's MotoGP. Totally. Every day of the week.
That's British Superbikes for me.
Yeah,
British Superbikes is British Superbikes is an obvious second. It's a close second, don't get me wrong. Very close second. And third for me, even before World Superbikes, as much as I enjoy World Superbikes, I would rather watch Moto America than watch World Superbikes at the minute.
I still haven't really watched any.
Yeah, I need to watch it really.
I love watching Moto America, it's really good. I've been watching it this weekend. They were at Laguna Seca, and it was so good to see bikes going around Laguna Seca.
I do miss that track.
It was such a good track. I was watching that, and it's good this year because Cam Beaubier was smashing it for a few years. Then he went to Moto2, And then whenever he went to Moto 2, Jet Gagne came up, and now he's been smashing it for a year or two. But then obviously Cambobier's come back, and now it's got this sort of like, who's the best? Is it the old hand Cambobier? Is it the new up and coming star Jet Gagne? But at the start of this round, I've not watched all of it. I've just watched the first 2 races. But at the start of this round, the first race, lap 1, second corner, Cameron Peterson crashed. Cameron Bobier crashed into him. There was a red flag, but neither of them two could restart. Jet Gagne just took off and won the race, and he was something like 28 points ahead before that round even started. So that put him like 40 points ahead. So in race 2, Cambobier just came out and absolutely destroyed him. So it's reeled it back in a little bit. I still got to watch race 3, and then I've got King of the Bangers to catch up on. And there's another thing with this round of the Moto America that I wanted to talk about with British Superbikes. Just this little idea, because British Superbikes with their the way they do their showdown and stuff, like they're always looking for ways to keep the series exciting. They're always looking for ways to make sure that nobody can take off and it will always be exciting and go to the wire. And was it a few weeks ago or a few rounds ago they did that different thing with like the Super Pole where they all went out to music and something different for the fans. So this weekend at Laguna Seca for the Moto America, the Super Sport did this extended race. So usually they have race 1 and race 2, but rather than have a race 1 and race 2, which has got like 20 laps each, they just had one big race that was like 40 laps long. But then that means that they have to come into the pits and they have to change tyres and they have to get fuel on board. But it just adds a bit of spice to the whole championship, because they just do it for this one round. This is it. It's one round to do it. It's like this. We're going to have an extended, rather than have a race 1 and race 2, we're just going to have one big extended race, because it just adds another spanner in the works. You have to get the whole team involved. And I was thinking, do you think that's something that would be good? And not just British Superbikes, but MotoGP or World Superbikes, even just the one round where you have that sort of involvement and you see that. But I'm thinking more British Superbikes. It
would make it interesting. It's a little bit Formula 1 in terms of getting your pit done as fast as you can and everyone's getting involved.
But I don't mean every race. I don't mean every race.
No, I mean just like a one-off.
Yeah, just to add a bit of space to it.
Yeah, it would make it interesting.
Now, of course, in Laguna Seca, they've got a sign up saying flag to flag race, which means if it starts to rain, it doesn't matter, it's still a 40 lap race, but you're in the desert, so that's not going to happen. So I think that adds you have to make sure you're going to have a dry weekend if you're going to do that.
Yes. I've just got a quick question on Laguna Seca, because we all say we love it. If it didn't have the corkscrew in it, would you still love it?
Well, it's hard to say because we all love it because of the corkscrew.
Yeah, exactly. It would be just a standard track if it didn't have the corkscrew, and you probably wouldn't care about it.
It used to always catch me out on like Gran Turismo. Like, it used to always catch me out on the corkscrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the corkscrew is there. You can't say if it didn't have the corkscrew. If it didn't have the corkscrew, it wouldn't be built where it's built, because it's built there because it's got that massive downhill.
Yeah, no, but if it didn't have that feature, because that is what makes the track. When you think of Laguna Seca, you always think of the corkscrew straight away. I think it'd just be another track if it didn't have the corkscrew.
It maybe would be. There's a lot
and
of
nobody really like it. Yeah.
There's a lot of fantastic tracks in America. There's a lot of good tracks. But Laguna Seca does stand out, and the corkscrew does allow it to stand out. So would it be the same without the corkscrew? Obviously not, but it's got the corkscrew, so
yes,
that's why you go and watch it for. It also got me thinking. We've got a Kazakhstan GP that fell apart. We've got an Indian GP that might not even happen.
Yeah.
We've got GPs going to Portugal and Portimao, and they're saying it's not safe enough. We've got GPs going to Argentina, and they're saying that's maybe not quite safe enough as well, even though I think it was all right. But
yes.
And it just brings me to that question. It's like, why does Dorna not just bite the bullet and have 2 rounds in America? I know there's no American
I wish
riders.
they would.
I know there's no American riders, and they maybe think we're maybe not going to get enough people come and watch it, but I imagine they would. So why do you not just have 2 rounds? You could have Circuit of the Americas, and you could have Laguna Seca.
Yeah.
Imagine Laguna Seca. Oh, so good, wouldn't it?
And you have 2 rounds. You've 2 rounds in Spain some years.
Yeah.
Like you have Jerez, and then you have what's the other one?
You got Valencia. You got the Catalan.
Valencia, that's it. Catalonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I swear there's more.
But yeah, there's years they have 2 rounds in Spain. Now I know there's a big Spanish presence within the paddock, but
so why not just like you say,
why not have just 2 in America?
Yeah, do 2.
Well,
American
maybe they
tracks
will
each weekend.
Because they've got that. It's new like marketing director or something. He's an American guy, and I think he's wanting to basically make MotoGP more like Formula One.
Yeah, he came from it.
He's looking into the American market. So I think we're going to have 2 races there.
He came from NBA, didn't he? He was the NBA marketing.
Yes.
I can understand the logistics of it, because if you go to America, it works out because you have Argentina, you race in Argentina, and then you travel up and you go to Austin, Texas, and you can do all that by road, or you can fly easy enough. You don't have to go intercontinental, but it's fuck's sake, it's just as far to go from Argentina to Austin as it is to go from Argentina to, pick somewhere in the world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I can understand the idea of like maybe going to Austin, Texas, then going to somewhere in South America, say Mexico or Brazil, or in this case Argentina, then going back up to Laguna Seca. Logistically that wouldn't work, because it's maybe too saturated in America all at one time.
Yeah.
But then the idea of going from Austin to Argentina, back over to Europe, and then back over to America again, it maybe adds too much cost. But I honestly think it's a big enough country and there's a big enough market that it should have 2 rounds, and they've got some seriously good tracks as well.
What's that track in Canada? Formula One. I don't know if they still go there.
Canada, yeah.
There was that. Is it Montreal? Is that one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
That was always a good track.
I was there 2013. The week I was in Montreal, the weekend the F1 was there, but I didn't have a clue the F1 was on. I just turned up. I was eating my poutine. I was having a good time.
Sorry, you were eating what?
Poutine. You're looking at me strange there.
Yeah.
Right. So poutine is the Canadian national dish.
Oh, okay.
It is simply chips, cheese and gravy. That's it.
So why don't they just call it cheesy chips with gravy?
I don't know why. I don't even know if it is French. I don't know why they call it. They call it poutine. That's what they call it.
Vladimir. That's what they should have called it.
Not Putin.
It sounds like it.
They don't call it Putin. You call it poutine.
Poutine.
It's really nice. It's so good. You get drunk, or in Canadian terms, you get high as fuck. Whatever. Anyway, you're inebriated some way, and you've had some Pabst Blue Ribbon. Any American fans listening or Canadian fans listening, Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR. What a beer. Anyway, and then you get drunk, and then you go get yourself some poutine, chips, cheese and gravy. Class. Talk about NHL or whatever, Stanley Cup and stuff.
You can tell there wasn't much stuff to talk about this week.
Absolute bollocks.
Yes.
Should we move on to our predictions then?
No, we haven't even covered all of BSB yet.
Have we not?
No. What about the BMW 900 Cup?
Do you know what? Actually, that second race was interesting.
Well, the main race, the actual feature race. Surprised Ash didn't watch it.
Yes, I was busy this weekend, thank you.
He's always busy.
There's always some.
No, they've gone on Sunday.
So no, I admit, Chippy, they're not the most exciting series to be watching. Alright? I can admit that. However, my opinion, having seen them live twice, because I've seen them at Silverstone and then I've seen them at Donington Park, They're much better live. They're such an entertaining bike to watch live. They are really good.
Mm.
And there's lots of little races going on behind Cooper.
Yes.
But was it Strudwick this week that was right up his ass?
Yeah, I thought he could have got him, but
and then the back marker. God, I was rooting so much for Strudwick. And I'm really surprised as well that he's not actually that far behind him in points, whatever way the point system works.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a lot further ahead than that.
They mustn't get a lot of points difference in terms of, like, it mustn't be 25 for a win and 20 for second place. Couldn't be if he's that close. I've got the hiccups a little bit. Yeah.
I found out a way to get rid of hiccups.
There is no way to get rid of hiccups.
There is. Right, fill your lungs with... No. Fill your lungs with air, hold it for 10 seconds, then instead of breathing out, breathe a bit more in, hold it for another 10 seconds, do the same again, and then it goes away. It works every time for me.
No, that works sometimes. It doesn't work every time.
Works every single time.
My daughter had the hiccups the other day, and she was like, "Oh, can I help you cook?" And she was helping me do stuff around the kitchen. Just gets in the way, but you entertain them with that stuff. And I've got this little metal steamer, and I went to reach it to her, and then I purposely dropped it on the floor so it would hit the floor and like ding-a-ling to try and scare her to get rid of her hiccups. And she just looked at me like she was going to shite herself, and I was like, "Have you got your hiccups?" And she still had her hiccups, and I was like, "That doesn't work either. Nothing works.
No, it doesn't
just
work.
Go away."
It does.
Are you going to Google us how to get rid of hiccups?
No, I'm going to chat GPT it.
You can't do anything without that fucking app. You've got a problem, man. You have
it's
to get
so good, honestly.
GPT.
I asked it what religion I should be the other day, and it asked me loads of questions, and I answered them, and it said, "What was it? I should be a humanist or something first, and then a Buddhist second."
So you said to me about write that race report and put it into Chat GPT. But obviously I had loads of stuff written on it. So I took it all, I put it into Chat GPT, and I said, "Can you sum this up with as little words as possible?" Just to see what it's saying. It basically when Bridewell came first, Josh Bridge came second, O'Halloran came first or third, Irwin came fourth, and I was like, "Well, that's too little words." Elaborate a little bit. There is no way of getting rid of hiccups.
Well, ChatGPT says hold your breath, drink water, breathe into a paper bag, gargle water, pull your knees to your chest, and distract yourself. All at the same
time.
No, these are all different techniques.
So you're supposed to hold your breath, drink some water, gargle while still holding your breath, put your knees up to your chest with the bag at your mouth whilst holding your breath and gargling water. And what? That app's all over the place.
I tell you, it's so good.
It's not good.
It's such a brilliant app because earlier I was making my breakfast and I thought, because I always have ground coffee, I always make it like the proper little thing that you push down, and I always just put 15 grams. That's the one.
A decanter.
I always put in 15 grams of coffee, and I asked That's the one. I asked ChatGPT how much coffee I should be putting in for how much water I have, and it said 25 or 26 grams. It knows everything.
Oh God, you're so sad.
Every time I talk to, and this is genuine, every time I talk to ChatGPT, it ends up telling me I'm disturbed and need some sort of medical help. Every time. That's always how it ends.
Yeah, but it's probably right.
It probably is. I try and wind it up. Try and say stuff to it. Right, so yeah, we are just kind of waffling, going on tangent about stuff. There's not really much else to talk about unless you've got something else.
There's no silly season, so we may as well do our predictions for the World Superbikes.
There's not really silly season. The only thing we can really go into is what we actually do know.
Yes.
Like for certain.
So Alex knows he's staying with Kawasaki.
Yeah, and Top Rack is going to BMW. That's what we know for absolute certain.
Yes. Although didn't we see something earlier about Alex Rins going to Yamaha? I think we did speak about this the other day.
Yeah, I think. Well, I was reading about this. I was reading about this yesterday, and they were saying that I was reading about it on an article I seen on Facebook, and they were basically highlighting the fact that Alex Rins, having had a little bit of success on the Honda and having won a race, the fact that he didn't get into the factory ride would suggest that he's got an out clause. And it's exactly the same as whenever Ash mentioned it to us today. I looked it up on Crash.net, and they're saying exactly the same thing. The fact that he's got an out clause means that he's likely to use that out clause to get away from Honda, but where's he going to go to? But the thing is, at the minute, do you really want to go from Honda to Yamaha?
Probably not.
Well, no, it's a bit of a sideways step, maybe slightly better, but yes.
I think the only upside is you're now on a factory ride rather than a yeah.
But I think Yamaha have got less to fix than Honda. I think Honda are in a much worse position.
But now
they've got to go right back to basics.
Be able to have the opportunity to start developing the bike again, and like Honda's as well. So then, maybe it is a good move, because if they get the Yamaha sorted, then it's on a good bike.
I think Yamaha's more likely to get their problems sorted sooner than Honda.
Oh yeah, I think Honda's, like you say, they need to go right back to basics. They need to strip the whole thing back.
Yes.
I heard today. Now this is a few weeks old, and apologies if we've already covered it, but I heard today that Bezzecchi has pretty much been offered. It's his to choose whether he wants it or not. But is it Gio Dell'Igno? Is that like the head of Ducati?
Oh, Dell'Igno.
They've pretty much said that they like Bezzecchi and they think he deserves a factory ride. However, there's only really one place he can go to that we could see.
Yes.
And that's to Johan Zarco's place at the Primark Ducati.
Yeah.
However, Bezzecchi has come out. Now, I've not seen any of this. I've heard this, and I've not seen it. I've read about it, but I've not seen the actual tweets and stuff. But Bezzecchi has come out and said that he likes the idea of staying in the VR46 family, inverted commas. And then that puts a decision in Ducati's hand, because they don't feel financially, and they don't really feel comfortable with having a fifth factory bike. Because this will be a 2024 bike next year. They don't feel comfortable having a fifth factory bike, a fifth 2024 bike. But he doesn't want to leave VR46. Maybe he would for the actual factory ride, like Lenovo Ducati factory ride.
Yes.
But not for Primark. But there's a little bit of what's going to happen there as well for next year.
I think Primark's a better option. Because you got the bike, you got the factory bike without the factory pressure. I'd much rather go to Primark.
Yeah, but maybe it's his surroundings in the VR46 team. Maybe it's all that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
maybe he's smart.
I was thinking more if you're going to choose.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But he's maybe smart enough to know that if I go to Primark, I don't have what I've got now.
Yes.
And then it might not be as good.
Yes.
But yeah, personally, you're looking at it from an outside point of view, the Primark Ducati is a better bike to be on. Because it will have the 2024 bike next year.
Did you see Jorge Martin was watching the British Superbikes?
Has he got a broken leg?
I think it's his ankle or something, yeah.
Yeah, was he in hospital with something broken? He didn't do that at a race, did he? How did that happen?
I can't remember. He probably did, but I honestly can't remember. But I read something the other day, like half the field now, or maybe even more, since the start of the season have had operations. Some sort of operation. It's really bad,
and
that.
They'll try and spin it round and say it was because of the sprint race. But there are a few rounds where the actual main feature race had more crashes than the sprint race, so that's not really an argument.
No.
But it's not good. No, it's not good to know that one of them are all being worked on. But saying that, I go back years ago to whenever Jorge Lorenzo was in his prime, and I can remember, I can't mind where it was exactly, so I can't really remember it, but I can recall a round where he came off and he had broken an ankle and shattered the other one, and he could barely fucking walk. He needed crutches just to get onto the podium, and he still went out and won a race. So I think riders having surgeries and stuff has always been a thing.
Yeah.
Like, they've always been getting surgeries for arm pump, or they come off and they get a shoulder surgery, or they get knee surgery. Do you think, is it just now we hear more about it because of social media, or they're more open about it, or is there actually more injuries because the bikes are getting faster and faster and faster?
They're all pushing to the limit more, I suppose. Pushing over the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what happens when they get on these new tyres. Like,
well, it's only Moto 2 and Moto 3 that are getting the
is it not MotoGP as well?
No.
Not
Dunlops. What are they going to? Pirelli.
Pirelli.
Dunlops now.
Pirelli.
Yeah,
Pirelli
from
Diablo.
Pirelli. Yeah, they're going to Pirelli. Yeah, it's not MotoGP. They're not changing. They're staying where they're at.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Right, will we have a chat about our predictions for next week at the
Yes.
World Superbikes in Imola? Right, so I usually go last, so I'm going to go first this time.
Okay.
So for the sprint race, because it's the only race I think he can win, I have gone for Johnny Ray.
Cool. I've gone for Top Rack.
I have gone for Bautista.
Yeah.
No, Chippy, stop changing the dock.
And Ash, who have you gone for in race 1?
Bautista.
And Chippy, who have you gone for?
I've also gone for Bautista.
You can't both go for Bautista. You need to pick something.
I had it
different.
first.
No, you didn't.
Right,
I
here
did.
Here we go. So
I have provided evidence that shows that I put it first. It was just invisible.
right, you just keep saying let me decide. So my choice is I'm going to explain it to the listeners, and we're going to let the listeners decide, okay? Right, so if you're still listening to the show at this point of time, which you will be, Ash on the dock had a black background, and having a black background, he's using a white cursor, right? Because he's using a white cursor, he's writing in white. So whenever Chippy and myself have a white background, because that's the default setting, we can't see what he's writing because he's essentially written in a white cursor and a white background. So he says he wrote his answer first, but we couldn't see it. Now, Chippy wrote his answer, and he's picked Bautista, but now they're having a bitch fit because they're saying, I wrote mine first, I had my choice down first. What do you think, listeners? Do you think Chippy just has to realise that Ash made a mistake? Or does Ash just have to realise that he shouldn't be writing in a white cursor? Who's right? Who's wrong?
I've got a black. Well, I had it for some reason. My background's now turned white, but I had a black background.
So how? This is what I don't get. How did your background go from black to white without
I have
you
no
changing
idea.
anything?
I genuinely have. I've never known it to be ever white. It's always been black.
And it's only just happened now. Whenever we noticed that this.
Well, usually I copy and paste stuff, so I don't tend to actually change anything. I genuinely don't.
Because the other day you said I've gone on to the dock, I've deleted everything, and I've put my predictions on there.
Yes,
and I
which
went
I
on
did.
And I went on to the dock, and I was like, but he's not put his predictions on here. There's nothing on here. But he didn't, because you read it with a white cursor.
Yeah, but you had white background, so I did do it.
I was like, what the fuck's he talking about? He's not put anything down. And then I thought Chippy had been on and deleted it, so I didn't want to say anything because I thought, I'm not saying anything because these two will start bitching again in the group chat. So I didn't say anything. But that whole time it was on there, but you read it in white ink. It's like all them secret messages.
Right, so chose Sykes anyway.
Well, I haven't. You've literally just changed. I just watched you change it to Sykes.
Right, so race 1, we've done the sprint. What was race 1 again? You two both went for Bautista.
Yes. You watch now. Tom Sykes will win it.
Well, he's not. Is he even racing?
Yeah, I probably know. He's probably still quite smashed up. 10
crutches,
broken ribs.
Last I seen him Facebook, he's just been released from hospital. He's in crutches, so I doubt he's going to be racing. Anyway, if you do listen to this, Tom Sykes, get well soon. Absolute hero going through that. But I don't think he's going to be racing.
No.
And I've put Top Rack for race 1. Right, race 2. I think Italian rider, Italian bike. I've gone for Danilo Petrucci.
It's a very good shout, that. A very good shout. Bautista's probably going to win, but Petrucci I think he's going to do really well.
To be honest, I think Bautista's going to win all 3, but that's not very exciting for me to say that. So
that's why we didn't do the boring thing like Chippy tried to do. Or did do.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just picking who I think's going to win.
Petrucci could probably get second. But hopefully he does win.
Maybe.
I'd like him to win something, definitely. I've gone with Alex Lowe's. Got out of the box and thought, you know what? Give him a shout.
That's interesting. I've gone with Bautista because he's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, well,
I can't wait for next weekend to reflect on the World Superbikes.
Batista winning everything. Join us next weekend when we talk about Batista's won everything again.
I'm looking more forward to Brands Hatch the weekend after.
Yes, same.
If Batista keeps winning the way he's winning, at what point does he win the championship?
Probably.
At what point is
races.
it like? At what point is it like he could just not turn up now and he still wins the championship? And then that's probably when they get a wild card and he's. Well, here's one for you. Here's a call for you. Do you think, because apparently they're going to do it, do you think the Ducatis will be in yellow again at Imola? Or do you think they'll be in red?
I think they'll be in red. They've done the yellow.
I think they're going to be in yellow because I think they said that that's not the only time they're going to do it.
I reckon they'll just be red.
I think they'll be red.
Right, I reckon they're going to be in yellow. That's what I'm saying. That's what I think. I think they're going to be dressed up in yellow. Watch this space. Oh, my ears itchy.
Yes.
Yeah. Itchy ear. Do you ever hear that whenever you get itchy ear, it's like, oh, somebody's talking about you. Or if you get an itchy nose, it's like, oh, it means you're going to fight. Or if you get an itchy hand, it's like, oh, you're going to make money.
Yeah, so
if you get an itchy foot, you go to step in new ground. So yeah, that's a little shite, isn't it? Just got a fucking itchy ear, that's it. I wish it was you're going to make money. I would just have a little farm of mosquitoes eating my ear the whole time, scratching the ear.
Yeah, just getting malaria and shit.
I've had like a cyst in my earlobe or something. It's been like a massive lump.
I hate getting stuff in your ears because it's so sensitive too. I had a little like spot inside mine and I touched it. Like I was giving my ear a bit of a scratch and I touched this little spot and it was like jumping around the house. Yeah. It was so sore. Like, oh god, fuck.
Yes. No, it was actually inside my earlobe. Like, I can still feel it now. The lump. I'm sure it's a cyst.
Oh. That sounds horrible.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
Get it checked out.
Just cut it off. Why do we have earlobes? Why?
Oh, fuck me. We can't keep going on like this.
Why is an earlobe a thing?
I know we're trying to stretch the show out, but fuck me. Why do we have earlobes? Fuck off.
That's ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's ChatGPT. Why do we have earlobes? Not trying to drag the show out, I'm just talking to my mates. Having a little chat. Can't ask my wife these questions, she'll think I'm fucking weird. She already thinks I'm weird. Right, let's have a little look-see on here.
It says it's not entirely clear of what the reason is that we have earlobes.
ChatGPT is shit. That's why it doesn't work.
No, it does. It's just it goes on to say about how you can like sort of jazz it up with jewellery and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually say.
We didn't evolve earlobes for jewellery. That's not why we evolved earlobes.
Yes, it doesn't actually give any function.
Right. So, So I think Ash touched on a point there that we are talking absolute bollocks, and as fun as it is, it's not really. It's no longer motorcycle-y podcast related.
No.
I'm sure if we scrape the bottom of the barrel, we could probably find something else to talk about or something else to go on about. But we shall do something along them lines next week when we talk about how Batista has won everything in the World Superbikes.
Yes.
There's not really much to go on about. That's the point I'm getting at. I will run through my clues for Who Am I one more time, and then Ash, you can go into our socials. So the clues one last time. I'm a 5-time Formula 1 world champion. I was on board a boat called the Tornamuona. When it sank, along with all my bikes and equipment, I received an MBE and an OBE for my charity work. If you would like to get in touch with us, it's podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. You can answer that question. It's fine if you use Google. Just get involved. Ash, do you want to run through the socials for us, pal?
Yeah, I'll run through the socials. So you can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. We're on YouTube, just search The Big Bad Bike Show. Twitter @TheBigBadBS. We're still not sorted on Instagram yet, but we will be soon, I'm sure. And our Facebook page is The Big Bad Bike Show. But the one which is more popular is our Facebook group, which is The Big Bad BS. That's where we tend to get most of the action happening. If you want to contact us directly, Sam's Twitter is @The Big Bad Biker. Just changed that. It's so much better than Sober Casano. Thank you for that. My Instagram is The Up North Biker, and Chippy's Twitter is @MotoChippy.
We are on Instagram.
Are we?
Yeah, we are on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who's running that now?
Just search for The Big Bad Bike Show. Well, we all have a login for it.
Oh, do we? Where's mine?
I put it in the chat. RTFC.
RTFC. And we will get you updated with it, don't worry. And we also have a Threads account now as well. And you'd be surprised to know that the Threads account is The Big Bad Bike Show. And you can find myself on Threads and The Big Bad Biker. And are you Moto Chippy on Threads?
I am Moto Chippy on Threads.
And
4
Ash,
followers.
I haven't got a Threads account yet, so I've never really used Twitter, so
it's not Twitter.
I know it's different, but I've been told it's very similar to Twitter, and I just don't like Twitter.
But it's linked to Instagram, so if you've got an Instagram account, you can have a Threads account.
All right, well, I'll do
check me.
that.
I have 15 followers. Ooh, check me out.
Mm.
And some of them are not old Instagram followers; they're new motorbike followers. I started speaking to a guy who was going to Snetterton. I just started bombarding him with questions. I was like, I just kept getting in touch with them until eventually he started following me, and I started speaking to one of the girls from another podcast as well. And I just kept bombarding her with messages, but she still not followed me. She's like, "Go fuck yourself! I'm not following you." It's probably fair enough, because she probably thinks I'm a creep. Right, so that is bringing us to the end of the show. It's a short show tonight. There's not much news going on. MotoGP's having a bit of a break, and I think that is the provider of most of the news in the motorcycle news world anyway. Well, it seems to be. That takes a break. Or news. I'm
sure we'll have some news next week, maybe. Yeah,
we will have. Silly season, there's not really much of it. It's all gone quiet at the minute. We're just waiting for bums to change seats. I'd imagine it's a calm before the storm. But anyway, there's not much else to say, but just to say goodbye. So Ash.
See you later.
And Chippy.
Goodbye.
We were the Big Bad Bike Show. Goodbye.